If you had to choose between writing a book that is hitting all the trend marks of the latest genre that is spreading like wildfire over TikTok, or you wanted to write a story for yourself, which one would you choose? A surprising number of authors actually really wonder and worry about this question. And so today I thought we'd just have a bit of a chat about whether or not it's worth writing to a trend or whether or not it's better to carve your own path. Now, the obvious advantage to writing to trend is that you already know there is a ready and willing market in that specific genre. I think one of the more recent ones to have surfaced is the romantasy trend. And there are numerous authors all piling onto that bandwagon and churning out their romantasy stories. Now, I don't know whether or not they planned on writing a romantasy in the first place, but I do know that a casual sweep over Reddit and places like that, and I see a lot of authors are doing this as their first book because, of course, the romantasy trend is really popular. Back when I started writing, yes, all those years ago, the trend was more for sparkly vampires and things like that. The thing is, there is a few problems associated with writing to trend. Firstly, you've got to catch it. And the thing I've noticed over 12 years of self-publishing is that trends now are passing a lot faster than they used to, say, 10 years ago. That whole short spike, a particular book or author becomes super popular for whatever reason, and then everybody else tries to write books like it to sort of cash in on that. And then that trend just as quickly dies away as the next one comes along. The rise of TikTok in particular, I think, has really assisted that, has really played a big part in that, because everything there is so short and it's fast and you've got to keep going, you've got to keep going, you've got to keep going. And so it's all very well catching a trend, but you've got to be really quick about catching it and staying with it. And this is the other issue, because while romantasy might be flavor of the month this month, it's probably been about 6 months, but still, who's to say that the next trend isn't alien robots? I mean, we don't know. This is the thing about trends. Nobody can accurately predict what trend is going to rise at any particular time and how long it's going to trend. So if you hit your star to a particular trend, you may get a really good sales from your first book, but you may notice that subsequent books don't sell as well as that trend, and those readers go on to the next big thing. This writing to trend also assumes that you can write fast enough to catch it, because usually, and I did read about this somewhere, but I can't think where, but usually when a trend is surfacing and somebody makes a video about that particular trend, it is already waning. It has already hit the top. It's been registered as a trend, and then it is sinking off. Now, in fiction, I'd have said that that's sort of true. Like, say, for example, when I started writing, I wrote Fated Mates, Fated Mates. I still do 12 years later. Back then, those books were more popular because, of course, every now and again I would throw in a vampire. And incidentally, my vampires never sparkled. and they could eat ordinary food, and they could go out in the sun, and there was never any problems. Those were my vampires. But vampires, wolf shifters, werewolves, all those sorts of things were extremely popular back when I started writing it. But I wasn't thinking about trends when I did that. Those were the sorts of books I liked to read. But what had happened was my brain was starting to say, well, hang on a minute. If I've read a 30,000 word story, what happens next? So when I started writing, I wanted to write longer stories about the same sort of thing, about shifters, about the paranormal world, magic, vampires. Yep. And I haven't stopped. And those books that I write now, while I do now write slightly different things as well, like with my arranged marriage series, for example, my books still do well, not because it's a trend, but because my readers have learned over the years what sort of book to expect from me. Now, the funny thing is as we get towards the end of 2025, I've been thinking about, what I'm going to be doing in my author career going into 2026. And I was thinking about different genres that I would like to write in because, I'm getting a bit older. I'm not going to be able to write forever. And there are still a couple of other genres that I'd really like to try. But if I do that, I'm going to have to set up a completely different pen name to do it, because Lisa Oliver readers have a certain expectation of what type of books I write. And if I decided to write something different, then they're going to be disappointed. I would upset that Lisa Oliver brand. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't do this. If you are a fast writer, if you understand the general tropes and rules that apply to those books that are trending, then you can make significant income. If you can sort of catch that tail, that's really good. But if you're considering writing as a long-term career, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, sometimes you are better to pave your own way. Now, the reason why I say that isn't so much because of the income you can make from writing books. Indeed, I believe it's I don't want to get her name wrong because I really value her content. Is it the Cozy Creative? I think it is. She talks about that she's done both. She has written to market and she has written her own lane, and how difficult it can be to get the same level of excitement and readership for books where she's written her passion projects as opposed to those books she wrote to market. I can see that and I understand that. I hadn't realized that she had written to market before. But as she pointed out, that money was good, but over time it gets repetitive. It gets a little stale. It's not easy to maintain that same level of excitement especially if you have another passion type of project that you would rather write for yourself and put out for yourself. Now, for a lot of times, as I say, I have written my books, not now to market, obviously, because vampires and werewolves and things like that. Well, I don't write werewolves, I write wolf shifters, and there is a key difference. But anyway, they are nowhere near as popular as they used to be. They may have a resurgence at later times. I don't know. I can't predict the future. But my readers, my wonderfully loyal and loving readers, do know what to expect from a Lisa Oliver book, and I'm not going to disappoint them. So I'm going to continue writing those types of stories. But by the same token, I can see where writing a passion project, writing a book that was just for you, just what you wanted to write, that maybe didn't fit so concisely into different tropes or genres, that maybe did overlap a little bit. Now, are you going to be able to sell that book? I don't know. But then none of us know if we can sell the books we finish writing anyway. But I think for me, I would put it down to whether or not you have got the discipline to write to market and to make those shifts as the market shifts, which perhaps might involve writing standalones as opposed to series. And I'm a very firm believer in writing series, and being prepared to chop out as the market trends change. But for more longevity, in my opinion, it is probably better to create a series of books that evokes your brand, where you, the author, become the brand. Regardless of what you write, you want your readers to know that when they pick up a book or go searching for a book in your name, they have certain expectations. Maybe you write dark romance, maybe you write horror, maybe you write elaborate worlds that are found in romantasy and things like that. Maybe you're a science fiction writer. But whatever it is that you've decided you want to write, you infuse your story with your style. Even if you never speak it out loud or write it down, there are certain rules that you as an author will keep to when you write. For example, in well over 140 odd books, none of my characters have ever cheated. I do not believe in it. It's one of the reasons why I love Fated Mates. Different rules like that, making sure there's not even the hint of suspicion that they may cheat. That value is important to me, regardless of what genre or trope I might be writing on the day. And you as an author will develop your own rules, whether they're ones that pertain to your genre or whether they're ones that just pertain to you personally. Like I was talking to a friend yesterday and I said, I could never write horror because I don't read it. I can't read it. It makes me uncomfortable, personally uncomfortable. So why would I write something that makes me uncomfortable when I write it? I don't see that as a fun process. But anyway, that's getting a little off track. When you do think about this question, think about three quick things. If you're going to jump on a market, on a trend, something that's trending right now, that's going crazy all over BookTok, don't ask me what that might be because I don't go on. I go on TikTok so little it's not funny, so I don't know what it might be trending at the moment. But can you write fast enough to get a book out, get it edited, polished, get the cover done and everything else to catch that trend? Or are you going to be 6 months too late, which in the book world might just as well be 6 years? Are you able to write tropes and 4 rules? Because this is the other thing. If you are catching a particular market trend, if you are writing to market, that means you have to write what those readers expect. You cannot twist the game halfway through. Well, you could try. But if those people who actually love that market and who, are in that particular genre of the time, if you go against what they believe is part of their genre, they're not going to come back and buy another book. Or maybe you're thinking about a long-term career. And maybe you think about the values and the genres that you enjoy reading and the sorts of stories that you want to write. And maybe then you decide to market yourself on those beliefs and find your own market and your own audience of readers that will be more likely to stay with you in the long term if they're the type of people who enjoy the same things you do. So what do you think? What would you prefer? Are you someone who prefers to write their own stories regardless of what the market is doing? Or are you somebody who really, really, really wants to make a lot of money out of this and so is trying to write to the current trend? I'd be really interested in your takes and your comments below, because I think it is something that's why I prefaced by saying everything I've said here is based on my own experience. And I think for a lot of us, that's the only way we can answer that question, which makes it very difficult for new authors who ask it, because everybody's opinion and experience is different. So if you can share some other views below, I would be really grateful. In the meantime, please excuse the scruffy countenance today. I am currently on a writing holiday, which means I'm spending a lot of time in my garage. So I'm having a bit of a break to think about all these different things and how my career is going to go next year. So, yeah, I always find the end of the year is a really good time to start making those thoughts and evaluations. And whether you are writing to market or whether you are writing for yourself, it is a really good idea when you reach a certain marker, whether it be your publiversary or whether it be the end of the year, to stop and think, what have I been doing that's right? What have I been doing that works? And then the converse is true. What isn't working so well? What is costing me too much money? And tightening and tweaking things. Tweaking, is that even a word? Tweaking things so that your business stays more level, more successful, or better yet, grows. Wouldn't that be awesome in 2026? Anyway, I post long form contents on Mondays and Thursdays. If you are interested in anything else to do with writing, I have various playlists. There's probably one somewhere. I don't know. I truly appreciate it if you'd hit the like and subscribe button. Even if you disagree with me, please put your comments in down below, because any engagement is good engagement according to YouTube. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. And until then, keep writing, my friends. Bye.